Hello everyone. I hope you're all well. It's another day and another stream, and it's great to see you all here. Hi Ember, I hope you're well. I'm just gonna quickly move some stuff around because I realised my phone is kind of in the way. Although, to be honest, I think that's going to be the case no matter what I do with it. Let's try and see if I can't move it out of view a little bit. There we go. Whoa. That should hopefully work. And there we go. Now we're live on Twitch and Instagram. And yes, Ember, it is indeed painting time. And hi everybody. I hope everyone out there is doing good. And we're back. We're back for Tmassive Tuemonday. So yes, many apologies for the fact I wasn't able to go live. Oh my eyes. Last night. But yeah, I've been having a lot of problems with just being really tired as of late. Hi Iron Skull Gaming, hope you're well. And yeah, it's been causing me quite a few issues. Like, I was pretty much out like a light by this time yesterday, and I still don't entirely understand why. I'm not much better at the moment, but I'm at least well enough to try and get some paint onto some plastic. And luckily, because we're mostly working on a big old base at the moment, I don't actually have to worry too much about being, like, perfect, which is quite nice. But yes, we have a schedule, more or less, and we're going to try and stick to it as best as possible. So we'll be back live again tomorrow for Whip Wednesday, where I'll be going through all of your works in progress in Discord. So by all means, please come along. Please show me what it is you're getting up to. I'd love to see it. And I'm pretty sure we can all help each other out. I myself will be working on stuff. I've got a whole load of whips I can get on with, so I'll be working on things, guaranteed. But at least today we're working on something a little bit more structured. It's been a while since we picked up Vashtorr, so we'll be cracking on with that tonight, I think. Gonna stick all my whips in soon. Brilliant! Hi J-Red, hope you're well. Great. With that in mind, let's get on with it. Let's get some painting done. I feel like I need to change my shame golf score. Possibly. Let me just double check because I don't actually remember what I last had it as. Oh. 36. Okay, that's good to know, I guess. Right, can soon fix that. You know, eventually I'll actually get some models painted, like, that'll start bringing that score massively down. Just not anytime soon, I don't think. Right, so I've had a few ideas regarding this base. And I'm probably going to stay quite consistent with the basing scheme I go for my Iron Warriors, and if I start doing Dark Mechanicum, it's probably going to go along that way as well. So, what you probably won't have noticed, because I did this off stream, at least with this thing, I managed to grab a whole load of like decorative bits of clockwork and cogs and gears and things, snipped some of them to pieces, and sort of plastered it all in place with some texture paint, before airbrushing the whole thing in like this nice muddy dark brown. Thinking just picking those out in a bit of a darker sort of more darker metallics would be quite nice. But I also kind of want this to look a little bit like a Martian landscape, so I'm kind of envisioning sort of like an invasion of Mars kind of thing, with this particular little army that I'll be putting together. So let's get on into it. Starting off with some of my favourite paint, Tinny Tin. And just for those who might not already be in the know, we have now pretty much properly got a Instagram set up for the 3D print store. So it's vixens.miniatures. So I'd greatly appreciate it if people could nip over there and give it a follow. Right, so I think I'm just going to pick out like one or two of these just in the tinny tin. So I'm thinking of doing like a mix of brass, steel, and copper for some of these different gears and clockworks. So I'm thinking maybe this big one here as well. We'll get some gunmetal. I'm thinking it's the base colour. These two are going to be the best way to go for it. Like, even if I do copper as well as brass, tinny tin's going to be a good starting point for that. So I'm thinking for this big one here as well. And I've got some exciting things happening soon as well. It's now officially confirmed I'm going to be teaching some painting classes at a local gaming store. Starting this week, actually, on Thursday. And I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good fun. Something I've been in talks for a couple months now of actually doing, and it looks like it's pretty much going ahead. And we'll do this big one here sticking out of the ground. Now, and just because we had to run the risk of covering up these tendrils coming out of the ground on the base with the brown paint when I was airbrushing it all, using these metallic paints just gives us a nice little opportunity to just go back over those. I'm just going to knock the exposure down a little bit as well. It's a little too in your face at the moment on stream there. There we go. That's better. I actually had my first games of Age of Sigmar on Sunday as well. Huge learning experience, but massively fun. Definitely something I'm looking forward to playing more of in the future. It didn't even bother me so much that I lost all my games. I still had an amazing time with it. It's really all that matters. I did also tie with like 2 other people for best sportsman, so that was fun. Right. I think if we go back into the tinny tin for some of these others, let's go with you. Same with this like wheel that's down here as well in the dirt. Hi, Rook Pants. Hope you're well. There we go. Oh my god, I've just missed that water pot completely and ended up painting my keyboard. Oh well. Never mind. Could be worse. Could definitely be worse. Alright, we'll do this last one in the gunmetal as well. And go from there. Right. I am thinking if we go into some terracotta paint for the stonework there, that'll give us a nice starting point for kind of like a red Martian, red sort of sandstone kind of effect. Just gonna sort of stipple it in place as well. Hi, Pillarluck, how you doing? That just takes the photos of my world eaters to throw them up for sale. Ooh, okay. How come you're selling your world eaters? Don't like 10th edition 40k paint to the one, but I wanted to paint for it so I feel like they're done. And to fund a new super expensive project. Oh. Oh, so what is it you don't like about 10th edition out of curiosity? So I haven't enjoyed any game I've played of it, just feels really cluttered and badly written. Oh, interesting. One of the few people I've ever come across so far who's expressed that kind of opinion. Not saying it's a bad thing, it's just very interesting. I'm sorry to hear it's not working out the way you wanted it to. I can't really comment. I've not played much of it myself outside of the demo game that they ran at Warhammer Fest. I enjoyed what I saw of it, though. And it looks a little bit like they've tried to Age of Sigmarify it, which I'm actually kind of okay with, because I kind of like the simplicity of Age of Sigmar. It feels a lot less, like there's a lot less stuff to try and remember. Going back to fully playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle and Skirmish skill games. That's fair, that's fair. I can completely sympathise with that. Like, even one thing I managed to pick up on when I was playing a 2,000 point game of AOS on Sunday is I think I'm done with large scale games. Like, I think 1,000 points at most is pretty much like the sweet spot for me. I love skirmish games, so I'm always going to gravitate towards those. But it does also feel like a little bit like 2,000 points is just too much for my brain at any given time. It just takes forever. Like, seriously, just forever. Just spent 400 quid on out of print 412 Chaos Dwarfs. Nice! That's fair enough. Rather than selling off your World Eaters, is there no one in your area who could get together with to play, like, either 9th edition or some of the older editions of 40k? Or if everyone pretty much just migrated over migrated completely over to 10th edition, have they? If so, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a little sucky. Especially if you're not actually enjoying it. As for 10th, and I feel like the World Eaters are worth a bit now, being 30k and 40k compatible. That's actually pretty reasonable. Well, if you want to hire a link up to whatever platform you're selling them on, whether it be eBay, Etsy, whatever, if you want to chuck that in chat, by all means feel free. It is a link-friendly chat, and that you never know, there might be somebody around who might be interested in it. Hey, wow, Waffle, how are you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Fair large force with a lot of Forge World bits and full Forge World shoulder pads and weapon kits, etc. Nice. Definitely stick that link up in chat. Right. Just gonna quickly correct this. That's because we've got a little bit of that terracotta paint out on those tendrils. There we go. But yeah, I feel like I'm sinking a lot of things into the hopes that I'm going to enjoy 10th edition, and I still haven't actually played a single game of it yet. Which, it's going to be awkward if I don't enjoy it. Final two models were Chitin Ravager and Kabanda. Ooh, nice. would you be selling those along with the rest of them? Just for the sake of those over on the gram, that's where we're up to at the moment. Because, yeah, I definitely feel like that's going to make it all worth quite a bit. Right. I think what we'll do at this point... Actually, do I want to shade all that down? Not super sure I do, to be honest with you. Whole army will be sold as one. Ah, right, fair. That's a shame. Be tempted to keep Kabanda as like a shelf ornament thing. Because Kabanda's a heck of a good model to have. But I get it at the same time. Oh my word. Right. Right, let's get some brassy brass. Some brassy brass, some hammered copper. And a little bit of chainmail silver. If he adds a couple of quid to the army, it means I can buy more Chaos Dwarves. That's true. That's true. I suppose swings and roundabouts and all that. Wait, no, that's a Thornian Camel Shade. That's not what I want. I want Agrax. Where is my Agrax? There it is. I'll still get the Agrax out anyway, because I think that's going to be useful potentially for the iron bits. So we'll see how... Actually, yeah, that's come out quite nicely. We'll also cover the tops of those mechadendrites. So that way when we put the brassy brass over the top of it, that brightens it up in and of itself. But yeah, I've been very fascinated with like just general reaction to a lot of Games Workshop stuff at the moment. Hi, Alessandra plays 40k. How you doing? I think for the sake of the more martiany landscape, what we'll do is we'll get some Reikland Flesh Shade, and we'll use that to shade the stonework and the ground. There we go. I have no idea if this could be likely to reactivate that texture paint, but I am a little cautious just in case it does. I genuinely hope it doesn't. Let's get a bit more out as well. Right. Okay. Not much I can do with that whilst that's all drying, so I'm just going to leave that to one side for now, and we can work on something else in the meantime. I think, in keeping with the theme, let's work on something big. let's work on something a little bit different. I've got here a big old 3D printed version of a psychophage. And I am kind of curious to see what the heck's happened here. Ooh, genuinely, I don't quite understand what that is. Huh. Yikes. So that is not representative at all of the quality of our 3D prints. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do for this is I want to do a little bit of a test with the carapace. So I've recently just got a hold of some Nighthaunt Gloom because I'm doing High Fleet Tiamat. And I want to practice a couple of different techniques, especially for the carapace. Okay. I can kind of tell already straight away that this is pretty close to how I want it to be. Okay. Well, come back, Amber. But yeah, for my variation of High Fleet Tiamat, this actually pretty close to the colours I want to use on it, so I'm quite happy with that. I did a test model quite recently, except I used a Keelian green for the carapace, and it came up more like a very bright turquoisey blue, which I'm not mad about, but wasn't quite the right color. This is basically perfect. Thank you. So yeah, very glad I bought this now. Supposed to start painting my alien anus to it. Go for it. I hope that comes out quite well for you. I will say this much for this particular paint though, it applies very strangely. It's like the initial blob of it is very thick, and then it tails off into something very, very streaky very quickly afterwards. You kind of just have to put a blob of it down and then sort of work that blob around, sort of pushing and pulling it where you want it to go, just to get a relatively even coverage. But at the same time, the unevenness of it does also kind of work in its favor in a weird way. Also pulls away from surfaces like nobody's business, like really quickly in comparison to any of the other contrast paints. Ooh. Okay, that's kind of interesting. It over the top of Ethermatic Blue, which is what I've used in the skin. That's borderline pretty much exactly how I want the carapace to look. Huh. Interesting. suppose the best thing I can do is just apply this, wait for it all to dry, and then see from there. Hi, welcome, and he's painted badly. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, this is interesting the way this is turning out so far. Genuinely, I think the way it's applied and the initial way that it's drying on this bit of the carapace here, where it's been kind of oversprayed with the Ethermatic blue, I feel like that's actually worked out so far the best. Definitely something to think about. Right. I'll pop that to one side because that's going to be a while to dry, yeah? And again, there's not much I can do with it whilst it is. So we can come back to Vashtorr's base. However, spotting a few little areas where the paint's pulling away and showing that I've not quite hit everything I needed to with that. Right. Okay, let's move on. Let's start working on some of this. So, first things first, let's go into some brassy brass. Because we can straight away use that on the ends of these mechadendrites here. Like this little scalpely bit. I do want to leave some of the darker colours showing underneath. So we won't paint the whole thing, we'll just go like part way up, like so. It just creates that illusion of depth, like so. Hi, Cybernetic Nightmares. Hope you're well. Right, in terms of brass details, I think this one here would be good to do in brass. And I definitely think the top edges of this one. So we'll just edge highlight it along like so. And now already that's starting to blend in quite nicely with sort of the surroundings there. I definitely want to do this big one here. That's definitely going to be in brass. There we go. And we'll thin down the copper and we'll go into a little bit of that. I'm thinking this wheel here is a good one to pick. As well as this big arching one here. With the silver, I want to do something a little different with it. with that, we're just going to stipple it into place and catch the sharpest edges of it, so you still have this sort of staining on it. Just gives it a little bit more of a visual pop. So it looks a little bit more like a more natural part of the landscape. If we just go into these bits here, with more of this silver color, that makes those stand out a lot better, because they're more of an unnatural part of the landscape. They're bursting out of the ground. They shouldn't actually be there. Whereas with these cogs and gears, I kind of want them to look a bit more like the discarded detritus of the Adeptus Mechanicus. And with this gear here in particular, I just want to go around each of those edges like so. And we'll do the same with this one too. That way it doesn't look quite so it doesn't look quite so bright and shiny. Makes it look a bit more like it was discarded like centuries ago. Right. I think what we'll do is we'll take some dwarf skin and some orange fire. We'll thin both of those down with a little bit of water. And we'll just pick out very specific areas here. Just sort of stippling it in around the edges. Just like so. Hi, Riley Moo. Hope you're well. There we go. And we'll also thin down significant amount of the orange there. Most of that off the brush. Just apply a little bit of dot filtering. Ooh. Just into some of that stonework. And we'll go back into the terracotta. And just work some more of that in. Sort of in between and over the top as like a glaze. In fact, yeah, if we use it more like a glaze rather than a paint, just a very thin translucent layer over the top of all that, should knock it back a touch or two. Back into the more reddy colour that we want it to be. Right, what we can do now that pretty much all of that's dry, is we can start doing a bit of dry brushing. Just for the actual mud texture around the outside. So we'll go into some Vermin Lord Hide. Same paint that we used on the Osiarchs for the Terracotta Warriors scheme. So treading pretty familiar territory at the moment. And just use this same well-worn old makeup brush. We'll work it all over. As much of that landscape as possible. We might need to do this a couple of times just to build the colour up a bit. And it's okay if it gets over the top of the gears, that's fine, because that actually pulls it into the landscape, makes it look as though these have been buried under centuries of Martian iron rust. There we are. Actually makes it look a little bit more like a natural part of the landscape there. Right. And what else we'll do is we'll start building up some more of the more reddish aspects. Just going to move those along a little bit. We're going to start with some bloody red, which is, contrary to its name, actually more like an orange. It's more like a very reddy orange, I find. So it's going to go into a little bit of that. We'll work that. We'll work as much of that off as we can. So that way it's nice and dry. Still a little too moist. That's perfect. We'll just dot this into place. very lightly. It just starts building up that more reddish Mars landscape. And again, for the sake of those over on Instagram, that's kind of where we're up to at the moment after all this. Realised there's actually been, there's been quite a bit of a difference. We'll go into some of this dwarf flesh as well. We'll work this in, because it'll mix in quite nicely with that red. You end up with this sort of very pale, almost salmon kind of colour. Work a bit more of that in. It's way too moist. Let's work some more of that out. There we are. And just very lightly over the top. You can also use it on some of this sandstone as well. Again, just helps tie all that back into the main colour of the landscape there. And what we'll do as well is we'll go into some of that silver. And I'm just going to use this just very lightly on some of those iron gears. It just brings some of that colour back in. We'll do the same with the brass as well. It just pulls some of those colours back into focus, like so. Right. With that in mind, what we'll do now, is we'll go into some Procryl's Titanium White. And we'll set the base for what's going to be our OSL, which will be pretty much the last thing we need to do. And then we'll be pretty much done with this. So it's going to go straight into the paint, not going to thin it down. And we're just going to work it in between the cracks. Just like so. I'm just going to move down a size and brush, that's way too big. Oh yeah, size 0. Wish I'd used this brush right from the start now for this bit. Oh, a lot more control over it. There we go. There we are. That should give us a nice foundation to start to go with when doing the object source lighting from these cracks in the ground. Right, all that's left to do now is we'll finish that up with a nice black rim on the base, just to get that out of the way nice and early. Then we'll reposition Vashtorr on it, fire up the airbrush, and we'll get that glow effect. So just some plain old black paint. There we go. Not much we can do with that other than wait for it to dry, so we'll quickly give Vashtorr himself a once over just to make sure there's nothing more that we need to do with him. One thing I would like to do, just gonna go over some of these scratches. Just with the black paint. Just for a kind of like less is more approach with it. That way there's not too much of it. But otherwise, all in all, I think he's done. So, right. We'll just get him glued back onto his base. I'm just going to pull that over. Yeah, I just had a moment there where I couldn't quite remember how he fits onto his own base, but I think I've got it now. Just got to act quick before all the glue dries. I'm just going to go ahead and mix together some inks. Ready for firing through the airbrush. For the glow. So a little bit of Vallejo red ink plus some Vallejo yellow ink. I'd say probably in about a 60 to 40 ratio. And a squirt of flow improver. Okay, it's got the right consistency. Wrong colour. Could do with being a lot more yellow. So we'll add some more yellow back into that. Another good healthy squeeze. I'm just going to dot a little bit of it in so I can see ahead of time what the colour's going to look like. And yeah, we're going to need a little bit more. Not much more, just a little bit more yellow. Hi, 40 for 40k. Might have to try and buy some more of that. Yeah, that's looking nice and orange. Think we do a little bit better though. At the risk of using up all of that. We're instead going to add a little bit of Bad Moon Yellow contrast paint to it. And there we are, just that much higher viscous nature of it changes the colour almost immediately. And that's far closer to what I want it to look like. For a little bit of fun as well, could also add a little bit of fluorescent orange into the mix. We might need to supplement some more flow improver into it though, just to I might need to supplement a bit more flow improver into it just so it ends up a bit more transparent. That might have cocked up the consistency a little bit, but I do want to test something out. I'll be right back. That gives me some really good ideas. Thank you for that. Just needed to go fetch the UV torch from next door. Not quite had the effect I want it to have. That's fine though. Let's add a little bit of fluorescent yellow into it. And really, I should just shake this up way more, because it's almost impossible to work with if you don't. Not sure. Ooh, okay. Right. Let's go for it. Oh. And it goes. Here we go. Here goes nothing. Just got to be careful because there is still every possibility he might fall off the base there. And what we'll do now is we'll just go around the model anywhere where there's cracks showing, where light would come through it. We spray with this. Ooh. I'm gonna have to support him with some more plastic glue. That just means we need that orange glow to radiate around a lot more extreme than it is at the moment. just a little bit more around the feet. And we just need a little bit more as well. Around those areas of the wings. And there we go. Going a bit too far with the spray on the tail there. There we go. Right. I'll just pop this to one side just to show off how this all looks. Now that it's finally done. Hi Jehan, how are you doing? Oh, and hi Tiberius. Hi Ethos Creations. We're just finishing up Vashtorr the Arkifane. I've just finished all the OSO on it. It's going really well. Just going to quickly show this off for all the people out on Twitch first, and then, provided it survives, because it's very precariously balanced on its base there, then you'll get to see in a moment or two. I'm really happy with that, like genuinely really happy with how that's turned out. Oh, like I said, precariously balanced on its base. Right. There will, of course, be some much better photos of this going up on Instagram. So You'll see some better quality photos pretty soon. But just to give yourselves a bit of an idea. There he is. Ready to create some mechanical monstrosities to lead my little band of Iron Warriors with when I eventually get them finished. And there we are. Not too bad for an evening's work. Also did a little bit of work on a bit of a test model for a little Tyrannid force I'm putting together. So I'm pretty happy with how all this is turning out. Right, okay. And with that in mind, I think I'm going to say goodbye to those of you on Instagram. I will see you all tomorrow. And we'll wrap things up on Twitch. Good night. And as for you marvelous people over here on Twitch, I'll be bidding you all good night too. So let's see, is there anyone I can chuck you all at? Just whilst we finish up for the evening. Ooh. Mike Chili's on. So yeah, let's send you all his way. There we are. Big thank you to everyone who's joined me tonight, both here on Twitch and on Instagram. We'll be back again tomorrow for Whip Wednesday. So if you've got any things that you're working on, please by all means get it into the Discord. I want to see it. And we can show it all off together on stream. Likewise as well. It'll be same time tomorrow. 8 PM BST. I do have it on my thing as 7 PM, but I think that's a little too early. 8 PM seems pretty good, provided I can like continue through it, because yeah, getting tired much earlier in an evening now. Apparently, is this what getting old feels like? I don't like it. I really don't. Otherwise, we'll be back on Saturday for a spooky video game stream, and we'll be having a Discord hangout on the Sunday evening, so come join us then. That'll be away from the stream, it'll be nice and chilled, and we'll just have a grand old time painting minis and chatting bullshit. So with that, I will bid you all farewell, good night, wherever you are.